Welcome, welcome, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us. My name is LeeEllen Kline, and I get the privilege to be introducing Terry Bush with us tonight. So Terry is a presidential marketing director with the Juice Plus Company and owner of Lady Mavs LLC. As a network marketing professional, thought leader, success and lifestyle coach, speaker, and author. Terry loves inspiring, empowering, and uplifting others to step into their greatness and do in the world what they are meant to do, living a life they love. After pursuing an education in engineering, she landed in the middle of corporate misery, as she puts it, and determined to own her own life. She began a 7-year search for what would allow her to create a life of flexibility, fulfillment, and fun, where she could say yes rather than having to say no to things she loves, while making a meaningful and lasting difference to others. So along the way, she started her own events planning and design company. Though working 16 to 18-hour days did not promise the lifestyle or impact she longed for. So, any guesses on what happened next? Answering an ad in the newspaper, she happened upon our company a month before Juice Plus was introduced and was captivated by Jay Martin's guiding mission to help as many people as possible realize their dreams. For more than 3 decades, she has dedicated her life to furthering Jay's mission and vision, uplifting others to pursue their dreams with vibrant health and vitality, and has been recognized for her dedication and heart-centered leadership with an Elton Award nomination. Terry is adventurous, fun-loving, and considers motherhood her greatest accomplishment. Her daughter Kayla, an author and soon-to-be 100-ton boat captain, is also her business partner. They are currently enjoying most of their time on an island in the middle of the Pacific. Oh my word, what a life Terry lives, and I am so excited to hear from her tonight. She has a great training in store. So Terry, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much, LeeEllen and Carrie and Mickey, for the invitation to be with all of you tonight. I'm so honored. And I just have to say cheers to everybody with Luminate, cheers. Oh, where has this been all my life? Okay, so I'm really excited to talk with all of you about the difference between fixing and solving problems and the impact that it can have on your business. But first of all, I want to share that I'm making a few assumptions as to why you are joining us right now. One is that you believe in the nutrition that Juice Plus delivers and the ability to create reliable income, and that you have a sincere desire to help others and truly come from a place of good intention when you share what Juice Plus delivers. So are those pretty fair assumptions? Okay, good, because that means we're on very common ground, and that is the perfect place to start. From this point moving forward, we're all on the same journey in what we're doing in terms of our mission, in other words. But we have 2 choices in terms of the paths that we take when it comes to our connections, our conversations, and communication in general. At first glance, they may appear to be the same, but are in fact vastly different. There's the path of the problem fixer and the path of the problem solver. One leads to greater success and joy and fun and fulfillment, while the other presents greater struggle, frustration, burnout, and self-doubt. One will grow your business and the other will actually snuff it out. And our conversation today is all about knowing which is which so that you can move your business forward with greater ease and satisfaction. So let me ask, okay, and you can put in the comments if you like, or raise your hand. How many of you like to fix things? Like something breaks and you're like, I've got to fix this. If I don't fix this, it's going to stay broken. Well, nobody else can fix it like I can. If I don't get it fixed, it's going to drive me crazy. I've got to fix it, even though I don't really know how it's broken or how to fix it. All I know is I have to fix it. It's my responsibility, and it's what I live for. I live to fix it. Can anybody relate to that frame of mind when it comes to wanting to help other people? Okay, I just want to make it better and I have to do it right now. Okay. So think about that. And then how many of you like to solve problems? There's a little bit of a difference here, but I'm not talking about algebra. It's really important. You know, a lot of people say, oh, it's problem solving time and it's sitting down for homework. And that's not what we're doing here, right? I'm talking about identifying a problem or a concern or a need, or really being confronted perhaps with a challenge and then going into investigator mode, right? Exploring how you can overcome it. You're like, this is interesting, kind of fascinating. I wonder what caused this. Can I identify the root cause? Is there a way that I can help resolve it? What would be the best steps? Is there something I'm missing? Do I need someone else's perspective or expertise? What's the best solution? Can I avoid a recurrence? How can I look at this a different way? How many of you like to problem solve? How many of you can see yourself sometimes being fixer and other times being problem solver? Okay. Can you feel the difference between the two? And have awareness around that, okay? When it comes to your interactions with other people, which feels better? When somebody goes into fixer mode with you or helps you problem solve, which feels better? And when you're showing up in the conversation or the connection in your relationships, are you showing up as a problem fixer or a problem solver? And I really want you to think about how you show up in your business in this regard. And I'm going to give you 3 scenarios to kind of help you decide how you show up. And I want you to consider how you would react in these situations and ultimately respond. The first being, a friend ordered Juice Plus a year ago and has been through a continuous year of trauma ever since. Both their mental and their physical health have suffered. You haven't been able to reach them for some time, but out of the blue, they reach out wanting to reorder Juice Plus. You connect, you have a great conversation, and they seem to be pulling themselves together and actually place an order. But a few short hours later, you receive a series of text messages saying they've researched Juice Plus. It's a scam. It's a pyramid scheme. They feel like they've been duped and they're going to have to report it as fraud. Situation number 2. You have a frustrated team member who works in an office where people ask them about Juice Plus, yet always balk at the price, saying it's too expensive. Now, maybe you have that situation from a coach or a mentor frame of mind, but maybe that's actually happened to you. How do you handle that? And number 3, you see someone post about their frustration with their job and how stressed they are. So as we move forward, I want you to think about these. Maybe you've been in similar situations. How did you react? How did you respond? And how are you going to react and respond moving forward? And we're going to come back to these scenarios shortly. But first of all, if you do have paper and pen handy, please take out a sheet, draw a line down the middle. And on one side, I want you to write fixer. And on the other side, I want you to write problem solver. And we're going to kind of evaluate the differences between the two. And I want you to just write down anything that resonates with you, any aha that you have, any maybe shift in mindset, any question that you might have as we do this, because I want you to understand the difference between leaning into the desire and the need to fix things with people versus problem solve. Okay, I want you to develop awareness around that. And the first question I have for you here is, when it comes to going into fixer mode, and type it in the chat for me too. If you're in fixer mode, or someone is in fixer mode with you, does that energy tend to be more negative or positive? Anybody want to venture a guess? It's actually negative energy. It tends to it is, yes, LeeEllen, it's negative because it tends to repel people and they tend to shut down. I know somebody said they want to fix their kids. The kids won't let them. Do you want to be fixed? I mean, ask yourself, do you want somebody to fix you? Really, right? Nobody really wants to be fixed. And so when they feel like that's what we're trying to do, they shut down. They turn a deaf ear, right? On the other hand, when you come from a problem solving frame of mind, it's more positive energy. It's more attractive. People are more receptive to not only you, but whatever solutions that you may offer at whatever point in time that happens. There's a big, big difference here. Fixers tend to take responsibility for others. And just a quick example, if you think about it, how many of you have had a team member call with something that they really needed to contact support at the office for? And rather than guiding them to do that, you do it for them. You take responsibility for them. It's just a simple example, but I know I've done it. I venture most of us have, and in some cases it becomes a habit, right? Sometimes it might be necessary. There are times when that happens, but if it's a habitual thing that you're continually doing, it's a problem. No pun intended. Whereas problem solvers help others take personal responsibility. When you're in fixer mode, it feels more pushy. It's more force, it's heavier. And not only for us as the one who's trying to fix, but on those that we are communicating with. Whereas when we're coming from the stance of a problem solver, it feels much more refreshing. We feel more helpful, it's more freeing, and it feels much, much lighter. Fixers tend to tell without asking, whereas problem solvers share with permission. When you're in a fixing mode, you often try to convince, whereas a problem solver wants to explore and dig deeper and ask more questions. Fixers tend to be more assumptive, assuming that they know what someone is thinking or what their experience has been. Whereas a problem solver is constantly seeking clarity and understanding. Problem solvers, fixers often have unrealistic expectations of the outcome. And they think, just because I think it's great and I'm communicating why it's so great, everybody's going to say yes. And then what happens? We get the rug pulled out from under our feet, right? Problem solvers, on the other hand, are really into discovery and open to where the conversation takes them. They don't really have any preconceived notions about that. Fixers tend to want the quick fix, like a Band-Aid fix, if you will. They're much more short-term in their thought, in their thinking. They want to make the sale. They want to get somebody to sign that application. Whereas a problem solver is more interested in a long-term resolution because they don't want to continually have to resell every 4 months. And they don't want to continually every week have to resell their partner on why they should do this business. They're more focused on customer and partner loyalty for the long haul from the very beginning. And oftentimes, and certainly unintentionally, when you're in fixer mode, it can damage relationships. Versus when you come from that of problem solver, you're deepening your relationships. Fixers tend to be more me-based. It's on, my needs and my desires and my insights and my perspectives and what I'm going to say next, right? Whereas a problem solver is more focused on the other person. It's about them, their insights, their perspectives, their needs, their desires, and what they're actually saying in the moment. There's a big, big difference there. Fixers tend to feel more rushed and more anxious. And not only within themselves, but they project that onto the people that they're communicating with. Problem solvers, on the other hand, feel much calmer. They can temper their anxiety and their fear and other people's anxiety and fear because they're taking the time to do that and they're coming from a calmer place. Fixers tend to communicate with shorter, more shallow breathing, whereas problem solvers take much deeper breaths because they're present in the moment. Being a fixer leads to a lot of frustration and a lot of disappointment, whereas being a problem solver leads to greater satisfaction with yourself and with others. And think about it. How many times, let's say for those of you who understand what it's like to be in fix mode, and you're in a conversation, you're so excited about what Juice Plus is, and you just know that they're going to, other person's going to love it. They're going to say yes. They're not going to have any questions. They're going to love it as much as you do. And they're, and then all of a sudden they're just like, I'm not interested and I don't ever want you to talk to me about this again. Right? There's frustration and disappointment because we weren't on the same wavelength. Okay, so you start to second guess yourself, right, in a big way and wonder what happened. Fixers are much more emotionally charged and they tend to take things personally. Whereas when you're coming from the stance of a problem solver, you express emotion through empathy and recognize it's not about you, it's all about them. Fixers tend to come from a place of should, like you should do this. You should try that. Whereas a problem solver comes from the place of, what if it could? What if it could make the difference between how often your family gets sick and how much you're paying in medical expenses? What if it could make the difference in how much quality time you're able to spend with your family? What if it could make the difference in how much money you have left over at the end of the month? See the difference? There's a big difference between shoulding on somebody and helping them explore for themselves. Being a fixer creates a lot of self-doubt. And being a problem solver creates a lot or much better or greater confidence. It minimizes the feeling of rejection in a big, big way. How many of us like to feel rejected all the time, right? Not me, I can promise you that. Fixers tend to be impatient because they want results now, where problem solvers are much more patient because they see the bigger picture. And unfortunately, fixers tend to, a lot of times, be seen as coming from a position of weakness or as though they're begging, whereas problem solvers come from a position of strength and are seen as coming from a position of strength because they're not attached to the outcome. And that really does command more respect. So in going through kind of the differences here, I want you to think about which you most identify with in your business. Which have you, and looking back and how you've come to conversations and connections with people, have you identified more as a fixer or a problem solver? And understand there's no wrong answer. And I dare say we all have both of these in us. It's really about the awareness in growing into more effective, productive business owners and leaders. Would it surprise you to know that in a special NMD mastermind that I'm part of, every one of us initially identified as fixers? Because at our core, we all want to help make things better for other people. And the truth is that is part of our Juice Plus DNA. It's just part of who we all are. So if that's you, you are in great company. What's powerful, though, is when you understand the difference between the fixer and the problem solver is simply a shift in mindset and skill refinement, because then you're in the driver's seat to make subtle, powerful changes to fuel your business forward. And actually, it spills over into every aspect of your life, all of your communications and relationships, whatever they are. So I always like to do some fun things when I'm working and preparing to speak. And so after brainstorming on the differences here, I got really curious about what a simple dictionary would say on the matter. And the first definition that popped up when it comes to fixer is makes arrangements for others, especially illicit or devious. And I was like, what? I mean, I had to pause for a minute, and I was like, isn't that interesting? Is that how we come across when we're in fixer mode? As though, you know, we have something up our sleeve, or we're being inauthentic in some way. Food for thought, because I found that very interesting. That was definition number one. Definition number two was wants to help, driven by a sense of responsibility to address emotional stability and life hurdles. And wanting to help is great. We've established that, right? It's part of who we are. But do we really want to take on the responsibility of fixing people's emotional stability and life hurdles? I don't know about you guys, but I have enough to do taking care of my own. I don't want that as part of my job description, right? So then I looked up the definition of problem solver. It's very different, vastly different. And that is to synthesize information and knowledge to achieve solutions and resolutions. And I liken it to brainstorming and see it really as promoting self-responsibility and being empathetic without the weight of having to fix things or fix people. So, do I have permission to share the rest of the story regarding the three scenarios I ran by you earlier? Type it in the chat. Do I have your permission to do that? Great. Okay, I'm excited. I know somebody's asking, how do we make that shift? And hopefully going through this is going to give you some insight. And then I'm going to share some guidelines. Okay. So let's go to scenario number one. Friend who's been through trauma after placing an order really went off the rail. I mean, like the deep, deep end, feeling duped, saying Juice Plus is a scam and a pyramid scheme, and that they were going to report it as fraud. Now, this actually happened to me with a friend of mine about a week and a half ago. So, how would you react and respond? Would you lean into your hurt and your anger and maybe some indignation, frustration, disbelief, like, how could they do this to me? Maybe even your fear of losing a client? Would these emotions rule your response? Would your palms start to sweat? Would your brain start to spasm? Would your body start to shake? Would you lose a good night's sleep worrying about it and trying to figure out how to fix it? Not too long ago, that's exactly how I would have reacted, because it was very hurtful. It was very hurtful to get those messages from a friend. But instead, I didn't take it personally, because I understood that they were projecting their own fears and their own insecurities. And it had absolutely nothing to do with me. I also recognized they were not in a rational frame of mind to talk. And I didn't want things to fester overnight. So instead of calling them, I chose to leave an audio message. And this is pretty much what I said. I said, I have to wonder what happened in the past few hours since we spoke. You were so excited to get your Juice Plus. I imagine you must feel incredibly overwhelmed. If you don't want your Juice Plus, the company doesn't want you to have it, nor do I. I may not be able to stop it shipping out, but I will get the initial charge reversed and have return authorization sent. To address your points, there are paid detractors who intentionally put out erroneous, derogatory information on Juice Plus and other natural products that are good for you because they're not pharmaceutical. There are nearly 50 studies from leading universities and research centers around the world specific to Juice Plus. I'm happy to share them with you if you like. Juice Plus has been around for more than 30 years, and the company for more than 50. Do you honestly believe I would be aligned with a scammy company or product for more than 31 years, or that as a friend, I would do anything to dupe you? I will take care of your credit and arrange for your return tomorrow. Rest well. The next morning, I did as I promised, and then I sent this simple text message. Your card is being credited and a return label emailed to you as your Juice Plus is already shipped. Please return as soon as it's received. Take care of yourself. In less than an hour, I had both a verbal and a text message with a very long, heartfelt apology, an expression of gratitude, with my friend saying that, of course, they trusted me, wanted to continue with Juice Plus, and thanking me for not taking things personally. So think about how you either have or would have responded to a situation like this, and moving forward, how maybe you can make some shifts to improve upon that if it didn't go well. Okay, situation number 2. What about that frustrated team member who works in an office where people ask them about Juice Plus? That's a big problem, right? Don't we all wish we had that? Yet the problem is, or the challenge is, that they continually get balked at about the price and people saying it's too expensive. So as their coach or mentor, I want you to think about how you'd respond to that, or maybe you've been in the situation yourself where people balk at the price. So think about how you've handled those situations. So as a coach or mentor, would you immediately jump in and start telling them about how Juice Plus costs less than a Starbucks, or, that you can tell them that they can put Juice Plus in their grocery budget because it's food, all the things, we know all the things, right? And to be fair, in many ways, we've all been conditioned, at least to a certain degree, to handle objections without really understanding what the real issue is, or to share our knowledge, our expertise, our story, without really knowing where the other person is coming from or what really matters to them. And certainly, I imagine our excitement, I'm pointing at myself, has gotten the better of us at some point, causing us to develop diarrhea of the mouth. Anybody relate to that, right? This is another situation that's happened just within the past week. And yes, there was a time when I would have immediately gone into tell mode, right? I want to help. I want to arm them with the best information possible, right? But instead, I simply asked, so how did you respond? And what I learned is that their response has been to convince people of what Juice Plus is, that being whole food. And then once they tell them that Juice Plus is whole food, they proceed to tell them everything they know about it. And in an anxious way, because of the time it's taking and how it's infringing upon the office work that they need to get done. So with this information in hand, I asked if I could share a different approach or perspective. And then with their permission, I said, what if you, when you get to that price objection, you say something like, I imagine it does seem like an added expense to what you're already doing for your health. May I share how Juice Plus actually saves me money? Situation number 3. Someone posts about their frustration with their job and how stressed they are. And this has also happened recently with a social media friend. So how many of you, and I really want you guys to be honest with yourself here, how many of you would jump in with a comment along the lines of, you should take a look at what I do? Or my company is expanding and we're so excited and you really need to take a look at it. Or maybe you send them a video without any real engagement. Maybe you even send them information about an upcoming event. And I don't know about you guys, but I have this happen to me frequently in the social media space. People tell me what I should do, or they send me a link to their business or a video or whatever, and it just really turns me off. And I would imagine it does you too if that ever happens to you. Instead, though, I reached out with a private message that went something like this. I notice you're going through a tough time with your job. I imagine it must be exhausting. What's causing you to feel so stressed? Now, that particular conversation has been ongoing now for several weeks, actually, with me continuing to ask, to learn more, to empathize, to further explore, and then gain permission to share or offer solutions. And in that conversation, we've talked about omegas, we've talked about Luminate. I've even sent a Luminate sample, all of those things, but it's also manifested in them being interested in our business. It's taken some time, but there's genuine, sincere interest there, you know, and I don't know, maybe it'll work out where they come on board and maybe it won't, but either way, it's been a very positive experience. And I share these scenarios with you to help demonstrate how impactful and how empowering it is not to feel as though you have to fix things and fix them right now, right? As a problem solver, you're coming from a position of strength. Implementing what Brandon Barber, and some of you know him, Brandon is a coach that many of our leaders are currently working with to improve our skills and our mindset so that we can be better for ourselves, for our customers, for our team, and for all of you. And Brandon calls it intrinsic validation. I actually call it getting to the heart of things and nurturing the good for greater impact. And there are some guidelines. And as I go through these very quickly, I want you to think about the scenarios I've given you. And if you can identify where I implemented the guidelines within each one. First, let people know you notice them and what's happening with them. Then create conversation with 2 simple words, I imagine. Listen to understand rather than fix. Demonstrate you understand what they're communicating. And if you don't understand it, if you're confused or you feel like you need more information, or you're just very interested in them as a person and want to know more, and simply say, tell me more. Just tell me more. I care about you. Tell me more. That's what that says, right? You don't have to put I care about you in front of it, but when you say that, it's saying I care about you. Be aware of the timing. This is really important. If someone just received incredibly sad news about a family member, it's likely not the best time to ask them if you can share about what you do. So pay attention to your intuition, because sometimes you know it's just not the right time, and honor that. When you come from that or to a conversation or a situation as a problem solver, you're more concerned with what's best for the other person, and the door will be there for you to walk through and share when the time is right for them. And when you feel the time is right, ask for permission to share. And as happened in the 3 scenarios that I've shared with you, all of those relationships have been deepened and enhanced. My friend and I are closer and are engaging in meaningful conversation on a number of what I might call very controversial topics. My partner is following through in their activity like they've never really done in the past before. And my social media friend and I are building a lasting relationship regardless of their decision concerning Juice Plus and our business right now. And whether they say yes or no, it just doesn't matter. because that relationship has been deepened. So very quick tips that I want to add from these experiences that I think are really important. As in the case with my friend, sometimes you do have to stop and fix something in the midst of problem solving, whether it's canceling an order, reinstating an order, or a payment for that matter. Sometimes we do have to be a little bit of a fixer, right? Second, you don't always have to go through all of the validation guidelines in one connection, as in the case with my social media friend. Sometimes it takes a while. And thirdly, some situations don't require or allow all these steps or guidelines, as with my partner, who, because of their work situation, must be much more to the point because of time constraints. And so in this scenario, something that I have encouraged or offered for them to consider is asking permission to connect with those who are interested after work hours so that they can provide their undivided attention. Because in this case, and if you think about it, if you're feeling really, really rushed and you're trying to do 10 other things while you're trying to share with someone, you're not giving them your undivided attention. And that doesn't feel very good when you're in conversation with someone. Okay, so keep that in mind. And I just hope these insights and experiences empower you to choose the path of problem solver in your business. And that if you do find yourself veering onto the path of fixer, that you'll have the awareness to be able to guide yourself back to problem solver so that you can enjoy greater success, greater joy, more fulfillment and fun with your business. And it has been my absolute joy to share this time with all of you.
Wow. Oh my gosh, Terry. I don't know if you can tell by the chat, but that was absolutely amazing. It was brilliant. I have a page of notes, so many takeaways that I am going to implement. And I think just my favorite takeaway is just creating the awareness of when am I in fixer mode and how can I get to problem solver mode. And so just recognizing, I think this is something we can take with us in our business, but also in our everyday life. And we can start asking ourselves, wait, am I in fixer mode right now? Maybe I need to hop into that problem solver mode. And I think that is huge and can be so beneficial for all of us. So thank you so much for taking the time out. It was absolutely amazing. Mr. Curie, if you can take it off record for me.